Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we are thrilled to be talking to the fabulous up-and-coming star, Courtney Taylor, who stars on the hit Amazon Prime series, Ballard. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the AAFCA members on the call today, starting with Niger Chambers in North Carolina.
Or
Uh,
DC, but
oh,
yes.
in North Carolina, DC. Karan Leroy Kelly in Charlottesville, Virginia, Dana Abercrombie in New York, New York, Cherry Davis in LA, right? Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, Chris Stiles in Cleveland, Ohio, and Nancy Green in LA. I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
Kind of funny, really, that you're working in cold cases. You've got a few to deal with yourself.
You're reaching.
Am I?
Last time I came from one of the Brotherhood, it didn't go so well. What better way to keep the troublesome woman quiet than to silo her in the ass end of the LAPD? The cold case unit are reserves and volunteers. We work in the basement of this building, and yet we're still getting results.
I stuck my neck out for you, Ballard, when the chief and others had a different idea.
Captain's got us working on a new case.
Murder that happened in '08.
That's what 17 years with no arrest looks like.
This thing dried up. What do you think we're gonna get from it now?
Past is always present, but if no one cares enough to dig, then it just stays buried. These cases, they are connected.
I heard about what you did last year. Thought it was brave.
I miss homicide. Somehow I think if I prove myself in cold cases that maybe things can go back to the way they were.
The way things were might not exist anymore.
They're little coffins.
He's methodical. He's not choosing these women randomly. We might have a serial killer on our hands. We have 14 victims now. That's 14 families waiting for answers.
You have 72 hours, or this goes to homicide.
We only have one shot at this guy. Anything is worth a look.
People will do anything to keep their secrets buried. I will always have your back.
LAPD, drop your weapon!
Niger Chambers from Big O Belt Media. Courtney, thank you for joining us today. Very excited to talk to you. Fantastic performance. And I also think seeing you step into drama is just continue to show the range and the talent that you have. So this was very excited to watch you in this series and looking forward to much more. I want to ask you about what happens once you step away from a character like this. I mean, this character really does go through a lot considering sexual assault. Which is a very prominent subject, whether it's television and or just real life, but also being in law enforcement as a Black woman and also dealing with the corruption within the system. What does it mean for you, or how do you process turning this off? How do you process the emotions and of everything you have to embody with this character? But when it's all said and done, when you have to detach, what is that process?
It's a process I've yet to kind of nail down. This is my first time ever doing something that was dramatic, and also playing a cop, after dealing with so many things since 2020 and before that, like where we got to see unfortunately got to see a lot of violence on our screens for the past couple years, almost back to back to back. And it was an interesting conversation I had to have with my team, where they were even like, hey, Courtney, this is a cop you're auditioning for. Let us know how you feel about that. So even my team was sensitive to me, even auditioning for this role. But when I had gotten it and I had talked to some of the police consultants like Tim and who the character is based off of, Mitzi, it was so refreshing to hear the side of the police world where they too were devastated about the people, the police officers within, you know, this culture that have made a terrible name for them. And they talked about how like it affected them greatly to know that they were trying to be the good guys in a world full of like bad apples. So it was nice hearing their backstories. It was nice hearing how much they fought to make people feel safe because they understood the circumstances and they understood where the community was coming from with the distrust. So that felt entirely healing. Like they talked about that the first maybe day or two we had gotten the roles. We had those conversations and it felt so like, oh, thank God. I didn't want to have it first, but I'm glad they brought it up. And doing really, you know, intense scenes when it comes to talking about police corruption, when it talks about being assaulted by somebody who I thought I could trust, which is my ex-officer, like as an ex-officer, you know? So it was like, it was hard kind of getting myself back to a neutral ground. I had to spend a lot of time in my trailer. I had to spend a lot of time talking to my family. My mom was a major help in, you know, bringing me back to who I am. My friends were great about that, allowing me to have downtime during the weekends to really unwind. And it was me really leaning on my community and the people who supported me the most that allowed me to kind of separate myself, which helped greatly. I'm so grateful for them because it gets dark. So I'm happy that I was able to lean on them when I could.
Thank you so much for that answer. And I really appreciate the vulnerability and we love you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hi, Courtney. You are beautiful. I loved you in the role. I feel you represented Black women that look like me in this role. And what was it like being in it? Because often when we are cast, we are not giving the ability to have the nuance of being a vulnerable woman, being strong, and just being not the normal cast that we see, which are usually negative.
Yeah, I mean, it was a breath of fresh air seeing that audition come into my inbox. I mean, reading the breakdown, strong, backstory. She's really good at her job. She's super passionate. She can be a little stubborn, but she also is very like headstrong. And I was reading her and I was like, oh, this girl feels so cool. Like I've gotten some pretty cool auditions, but reading her and then reading the script, I was like, oh my gosh, she feels so powerful and she feels so beautiful. And also when it mentioned that she was going to have like a traumatic moment, I was like, oh, yes, like show every level of us. Yes, we can be strong, yet, but we also have trauma. And I think it's so important that we see that. And oh my gosh, just knowing that they trusted me to be this character, I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to make sure to speak up and also represent for the people who look like us. So it was an honor and a half. So I was so happy to get it.
My name is Ruben Peralta from Coca-Cola Net. How are you?
Hi, Ruben. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. We have like a huge demand of shows. Like there's a new show every week. What do you think the Ballard offer different than other shows with the same theme?
I think it allowed us to see a cold case unit we've never seen before. Besides the fact that we are getting, you know, a plethora of different characters. We are covering the spectrum when it comes to diversity. And I think it's so refreshing to see that. But we also are seeing the cold case in a way where like, it's not just police who are behind solving these cases and working these man hours and volunteering their time. It's people in the world who want to help. Like just from the characters that we put in the show, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the type of people who come in to volunteer and help solve cases that may have been forgotten or just didn't have enough manpower to cover. So I think that's kind of what sets us apart. The diversity of the characters, the different types of people in the cold case unit, and also like it's a whodunit. Like we love a good mystery, and you get to follow that throughout the entire season while also solving little crimes in between. Like that to me feels like, yes, give me an overarching theme, keep me on my toes. I don't know who did like it didn't feel predictable when we read it too. So I was like, maybe the people won't think it's too predictable too. So it was just so nice that we got to have that opportunity to create something new and exciting. Like, yes, we got to, you know, pull from the Bosch universe, but then turn it into something completely new, show you a different side of LA entirely. I think that kind of allowed us to stand out, you know, which was great.
Hi, Chris Dowles out of Cleveland, Ohio, WOVU 95.9 FM. Hi, Courtney, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. How do you think your character evolves over the course of the series?
I think she becomes a lot more open to help. I think when she leaves the force 6 months into being in RHD, I think she already knows, I think she feels as though I know why I left. This makes sense to me and no one can question me on it. But I think as time goes on and we find out her backstory and we find out the betrayal that she had to, you know, she was a victim. Like finding these things out, I think it opened her up to that vulnerability of just being so tired and always making excuses like, well, maybe I did this, or maybe I was pushing too hard, or, you know, maybe nobody understands what I'm coming from. Maybe I'm too passionate about the job. Like, I think it allowed herself to be vulnerable, stand in her vulnerability, and like lean on her community more. I don't think she was doing that before. But as the season goes on, we get to see her talking to her mom, talking to her granddad, like really reaching out when maybe she was very closed off beforehand. So I think it's just her becoming much more vulnerable as the season continues, which is so refreshing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Courtney, Jill Monroe, KBLA Talk 1580. So you mentioned how power dynamics obviously play a piece in this character being a Black woman involved in law enforcement, but still deeply rooted in the community. What are some of the nuances that you put into your performance that weren't on the page to make sure that you didn't fall ropes, or to make these moments stand out and really feel grounded?
I will say it did not take much for me to get into that character of showcasing her groundedness and loving the community and wanting to show a different side of police work, because the writers did it for me. Kendall and Alimo, they were so open to, like, not only were they open to collab, I didn't really have to collab too much. They understood that I was a Black woman. They understood that I needed to talk about my family thinking it was crazy for me being a police officer. They understood the need for me to have a connection to the police force, which is my grandfather, and understanding all those things without me having to say much. I don't know who they talked to, but when I read the script, I was so pleasantly surprised. I was like, thank you, like, for showcasing the battle a Black woman would have being in the police force, the battle she would probably have with her family, even if she was a legacy and had a person in the family who was a police officer. Just those dynamics. I honestly didn't have to say much. I was pleasantly surprised to see the script so well written. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Kendall. Thank you, Michael Limo. Like it was so easy for me to get into her, because I was like, yes, I resonate. Because yes, I would tell her that my brothers was tripping when they found out I was going to be a police officer, but my grandfather is one. So I wanted to show police work in a different way. I wanted to help. And those are such important standout moments for my character that let you know, like, yes, I understand this is crazy, me being a police officer, but there's passion behind it. And I give my kudos to Kendall and Michael.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill.
Hi, Nancy Green here. And for me, one of the most powerful things while I was watching the series was when your character, she has to basically tell Ballard what happened to her, and you know the emotion that she goes through there, and then afterwards when she's in her bedroom and how she deals with that. Can you talk a bit about getting into that scene and just sort of understanding the dynamics there?
Wow. It was so difficult. I had talked to a couple people in my life who had, you know, been victims to assault, and I never wanted it to seem like I was like, hey, you know, I know you dealt with this. How should I do it on screen? But it felt like I was able to have. I already knew about the situations, but I asked them, what would you like to see on screen when it comes to being represented as a victim, and the thoughts and the feelings, and like what exactly would you want to see as representation? And that got me where I needed to be. Thankful. I'm so thankful to my community for being so open with me and vulnerable about it. But also too, it was my castmates, it was the crew. That day that I had to come in, I think I had to do both of those scenes where I have to, well, maybe no, I don't remember. But I know that the scene where I had to tell Ballard and like admit that it did happen to me, I had talked to everybody ahead of time. I had texted her. I said, hey, I know I'm usually bubbly and full of energy on my days in, but I'm going to need my space. I'm probably not going to be as talkative. I really want to get into this moment and I really want to make sure I do this scene justice. And they were like, no problem. We'll let everybody know. And on set, they took care of me. They allowed me to have my chair in a corner somewhere in the dark. They let me have my lunch by myself. They barely chatted with me. They understood I needed to settle in this character. And that was hard. I had never done that before. So actually getting into that, recognizing the gravity of the situation. And also too, in my head, I like to try it when I'm doing scenes that feel very, grounded and dramatic. I always like to imagine like if I was talking to my grandma and I kept thinking about my grandma because my grandma's not with me. So I kept thinking like, oh my gosh, what would it be like if I had to tell my grandma this thing that she had no idea happened and da-da-da-da-da. Like I was trying to find ways to pull from my life on how that would feel, me telling a family member, me telling somebody I'm getting closer to. So it was a challenge and a half, and it took me it took me a while to come down from those emotions, but I was so supported by my community, by everybody on set, by Maggie, the directors, everybody were so supportive of me to allow me to get where I needed to be. So I'm extremely grateful.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. And it was fabulous. And that, it really was, you did an amazing job.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That means the world.
Courtney, I'm Karan Lenoir Kelly, and from Karanas.com and Love Music Pleasure. And I thought this was such an incredibly different kind of procedural because there were so many twists and turns. It was so much more than a whodunit. It was a mystery. There was violence. It was good violence. And it was so multifaceted, but so is Samira Parker. So outside of the sexual assault that we talked about and the shared trauma that she and Ballard discovered they had together, I'd like to know what were some of the biggest takeaways you had from the personality, the energy of Parker?
My biggest takeaway from her was that was her passion. I think, I am super passionate about my career as an actress. I truly just don't think I would enjoy doing anything else. And I resonated with her on that, like her passion about wanting to help people, even though it feels like a thankless job. Her passion behind the cold case that doesn't get solved. Like she wanted to make sure that even though she left, she wanted to make sure that she checked all her boxes before she left. So then finding out that things were, disposed of or anything, it angers her, it frustrates her. And I loved playing that because I can't always be angry all the time when things don't go my way. But Parker was so like, no, something is wrong. I've been trying to tell you and da-da-da. She was so headstrong. And I like dreamed to be that in my everyday life, to stick up for what I know is wrong. And I love that about Parker. I thought that was such a beautiful like defying factor to her. Her defining feature is that she was, you're not going to tell me I'm wrong. And I think it inspired me. It let me lean into being angry, but also with purpose. Like, are you not hearing? Are you not seeing what's going on? Like, I want to solve this as badly as you do, but do you? Like you can't be as angry or passionate about me. Like somebody's gone. Like, I think that resonated so much in the script, and I wanted to bring that to life as much as possible on screen. And I just enjoyed being that passionate and not holding back. So that was one of my big takeaways. Her passion was so inspiring.
Thank you so much. I love this series, and I'm really hoping for season 2, 3, and 4. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Abercrombie, The Coalition. But I was wondering about the character of Parker. What do you feel are her best and worst qualities? And does that change along with, each episode and each experience that she has?
I would say her best and worst quality can sometimes be her passion. I think because she knows something's wrong and because she wants to prove it, she becomes distrusting of the people she needs to lean on. Like, I think that's what happens with LaFont. Like, no, we can't tell him. Like, we just showed you corruption, and now you're about to lean on another police officer. Like, her passion can be also her Achilles heel at times, because I think she doesn't allow herself to be vulnerable with people because of the burns that she received before. So I would say her strength and her weakness can be her passion. And what was the other part of the question?
It was just talking about, do you feel that they change along the course of the episodes in which each case?
I do. I think she allows herself to kind of breathe as she goes later on down the line, because not only is she like, it's like she gets reined in a bit thanks to Ballard, thanks to LaFont. Like, I think you even see the change between her and LaFont at the funeral, where they finally kind of collaborate and get Ballard there. So I think it's just she opens up, becomes a little more vulnerable, and maybe reins in a bit, but keeps her passion and just puts it in the direction it needs to be in, puts it in the boxes it needs to be in, without it being like, are y'all not listening? So it was nice watching her evolve her passion in a more beneficial way.
Nigeria Chambers again. So have you checked out the other prominent Prime Video series, Cross? I feel just some interconnective tissue with the storytelling between your character, Roland Ballard, and also in that. I want to ask you, in terms of Community, have you talked to that cast, and what does it mean to be leading the charge in this measure of representation?
First of all, I love Cross. Oh, I think that show is so good. I haven't had the opportunity to actually talk to that cast, which sucks. Maybe we're speaking it into existence, though. Maybe this will be that. Leading this charge of start opening Ballard and having this dialogue. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of like similarities between Cross and Cross and Ballard when it comes to the trauma that people are experiencing and how it can consume us. Like, oh my gosh, that scene where, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but the scene where Cross experiences his traumatic moment, like, oh my God, it consumes him. And, he's still passionate about his job, but it can hold him back a bit. And I think that's what you see kind of with Parker sometimes, like it can hold her back. The moments where she's tracking Olivas on her Instagram, like that's going to hold her back. It's never going to get her where she needs to be. It's not going to heal her. It's not going to get her it's not going to make her feel any better. And I think, like showing that vulnerability, that trauma that kind of latches onto you, and it's up to us to lean into our communities to help heal us, because we can't do it by ourselves. Like, it's so easy to say, I'll figure it out, I'm fine, I'm good. Please, I think if there's at all what's it called, if there's at all like a message shared between the two, it's leaning on your community and speaking up, because we cannot do it by ourselves. No matter the type of trauma you're experiencing, always lean on your community, who can support you in a very beneficial way.
100% agree. And I will also say, like, the depiction of what like healing looks like and what support looks like. It's something that hasn't been like laterally defined, but like we're seeing it now in both shows, in terms of leaning on the community. So I really appreciate the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Courtney, I love you on all the comedic series you've done. I'm a big fan of Abbott Elementary, woman-led, women created. And when I say woman, I mean Black woman. And then being on this show with Maggie, who's been around for a long time.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you've learned a lot from both of them. Has it inspired you to want to pitch something in a comedic genre, sci-fi, which is my favorite thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes to all of that. I literally, because I've been so lucky to work with such great creatives who are leading the charge and also like being women of color, like Issa, Quinta, like it's been such an honor. But they've also inspired me like to keep writing. Like I don't know why, because I do write, and I just kept stopping. Like I don't know, I'm not really a writer. I'm not really a writer. And every time I'm like, I sit down and I actually take the time to write myself. I'm like, dang, Courtney, these stories matter. Like you see it all the time when you're on set and you see Quinta writing. You see, and there was times Issa was like in her laptop, barely got time to talk to her because she was writing the next thing. Or I don't even know if she was writing for the show all the time. She was writing the movies and writing all these things, like constantly creating, because I think it's up to us to create these wonderful opportunities for people who look like us. And I want to be on that side of the creative spectrum so bad. Like, how can I create those yeses for people who look like me? Because I have people who created those yeses for me. So oh yes, I've been writing. I pitched a series to my team a couple months ago. I'm trying to finish up the pilot now. I got a couple movies ideas I want to do. I got a scary little thriller moment I want to do. Like I want to do it so bad. Honestly, the only thing stopping me is me. So thank you for reminding me, Cherry, to get back to my laptop.
Well, I look forward to it, and I hope to see you at Comic-Con this week.
Oh, I won't be there, but maybe next year. Maybe next year. Oh my gosh, maybe next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Hi, Courtney again, Ruben Peralta. I love the passion that you have in terms of creation. Do you feel that now we have these platforms, streaming platforms, do you think it's better and easier to be a creative because you can tell more stories, you can be more diverse, you can actors work more? Do you feel this is good for the industry, or do you feel that TV before was better?
I think it's so much better now. I mean, I think we have all these wonderful opportunities to create. Even like stuff that we think is small, but it's still getting great recognition. Like, I think we forget that somebody wants to watch something new. It's always something for somebody. And now that we have a plethora of options, I mean, I used to think like, it's too many streaming platforms. I have them all. I watch something on every single one of those platforms, whether it be Apple, whether it be Netflix, of course, Prime. Like, no matter what the platform is, I'm watching something new that I don't think I would have saw if we didn't have these opportunities within the streaming service, within the streaming world. And I think that it just allows everybody like, okay, let's create, let's make some stuff. There's so many places we can put it. Like, let's show everybody what we're made of. And I think that the more opportunities we have, is just the better. We get to see all these stories that I don't think we got to see back in, like, you know, in the 2000s before the streaming platforms really came into play. So I think it's a positive, in my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Let's just use our imaginary. Since you like to be a creative, if Hollywood made a movie about your life, but replaced you with a cartoon character, who would it be, and why are you okay with that level of chaos?
Replaced it with a cartoon character. Have you ever seen that show? It's kind of new. It's on Max. It's called Invincible Fight Girl. That girl, the accountant girl, she would be the lead of my life because I think she's so chaotic, but so passionate about what she wants to do. I think she would be the perfect animation to encapsulate me, her chaoticness, her manicness, her like ups and downs with her emotions, but also loving what she does and wanting to do whatever she can to get there. That's my girl. That is who would be playing me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, and much success to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Courtney. So with Zamira, her justice, so to speak, we throw that word around quite a bit, but for her, it seems almost spiritual. So when she returns to the force, is it really for others, or is it to redeem something within herself?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when she first gets back, I mean, honestly, I think the one thing that reels her in is Ballard telling her that, like, you know, what's the best way to get back in? By getting back at the guy who couldn't solve the case. And I think a small part of me is like, Yeah, I could beat him at his own game. Like I left and I and when I left, this case didn't get solved. So what if I come back and it actually gets solved? I remind everybody why I did get an RHD so soon at such a young age. Like I think that does reel her in, but I think as she continues to do it, it's like she's like, dang, I really do love this job. It's why she goes to the motel without, Ballard asking her. It's why she, does her own digging. It's why you even see small moments of excitement when she finds something new out. And I think, did she come in maybe trying to get back at Oliva's? Yeah, maybe. But I think as time went on, she reminded herself like, oh yeah, I am good at this job. I love this job. And I know why I'm not telling my mom why I'm back in here, because I know she wouldn't like it, but I know I love it. And, so I think it's a little bit of both, to answer your question.
Thank you.
So I really enjoyed the movie Invitation, the 2022. And I think I did see the 2015, and I thought it was really interesting that both you and John Carroll are in this show. And he's in one of my favorite horror movies, Gothica. He plays a bad guy in that. So like as I was watching him, I was like, is he gonna be a bad guy in this? But for me, I really find it interesting the sort of crossover between like straight up horror, like supernatural horror or slasher, and sort of the thriller detective genre. And I wanted to know if you could talk a bit about that, especially here where you have like these sort of gruesome murders that happen.
I think horror is, I think with The Invitation, mostly because I wasn't really like on set for like a majority of the big, gruesome scenes. But I think there's still some fantasy there that kind of allows you to see it and get into it, but also allows you to remove yourself a little easier. I think with procedurals like this, talking about cold case, talking about gruesome crimes, especially when, for me specifically, when they're women-centered crimes, I think it latches onto you much more, because I think it's like, whoa, yes, where these cases are, made up and they're, they're part of Michael Connelly's beautiful universe, but also like these people exist. These victims are definitely they're based on like true moments that might have happened with Mitzi that aren't exactly it, but similar. And I think that's what really it like, oh my gosh, it even, getting to the when we had our police consultants, they showed us a real murder book, and they showed us like what they had to see on on not a daily basis, but a majority of the time, this is what they're seeing. This gruesome thing a human walking this planet is doing. And I think, oh my goodness, I think it has a heavier burden in that you have to understand that these are people's, ugh, these are real people that we could be, that it's like similar moments. These are real people that we are representing, in the real world. And it's just, I think it just is a little bit heavier than I would, than the fantasy horror does for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's one thing. Like I like slashers, but they're probably not as much, because you start to think, well, this could happen. This is something that people have done. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like completely even like the slashers that feel like they talk about like, real stories that happen. Those always get me too. I'm always like, oh my gosh, like there are real slashers in the world. But like when you watching Scream and you watching stuff like that, you just like, okay, she should have left. Like there's no reason why she had this party. You know what I'm saying? So I think, stuff like this, it usually hits me a little bit harder.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a great show. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that.
Hey, Courtney, it's Karan again. So there's so many characters in this show that I love, and so many I love to hate. But one of my absolute favorites was Tutu, played by the amazing Amy Hill.
Yeah.
She is one of the most underrated actors. We've had her for such a long time. And I want to know, when Ballard said, come on over, Tutu's making ribs, did they really get you ribs so that you could get into the role? and relax a little bit?
Oh, I ain't have no ribs. I was so sad. I remember reading the script like, okay, we're about to have ribs. We're gonna be eating food. This way I can really get to the character. But I go to set and it's just bones sitting on my plate. I'm like, no, I can actually eat the ribs. But no, unfortunately, I ain't get to have no ribs. I was sad about that.
Oh my goodness. I just really, really enjoyed how welcoming Ballard and Tutu were to you, how gently that relationship and that moment was handled. So thank you so much. But Amy Hill is amazing. And it was so great to see her in this.
Amy Hill is insane. And literally the characters they were playing, how welcome and warm they were, Maggie and Amy are that in real life. They were like, it just felt so supportive that day on set. Like they were so, so good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Dana again. I wanted to talk about the trust between Ballard and Parker, because without that, I really don't feel that there would have been a reason for her to come back.
Yeah.
You know, so can you talk about that trust that even though we might always see on camera that is there established between the two?
I think there was a moment where things switched for Parker after she sees her interaction with Olivas. I think she's curious. She's like, well, wait a minute. I know why I'm a little iffy with that man, but why are you? And I think that may be turned a switch on. Like they may have flipped the switch for her, but I think she was a little, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know. Until that moment is when I think she goes, well, wait a minute. Do we have something in common? Or like, and then that beach scene when we actually talk, when we actually speak to each other, and I like get the confirmation that we both have some annoyance with this man. And if we can team up and actually do good while also rubbing it in his face, I think that was like the moment where she's like, this could be fun. Like, let's do it. So I think that trust was being built slowly but surely in the beginning. I think it was as soon as we saw that connector piece between her and Maggie, her and Ballard, that we decided that like, okay, maybe I can lean into her a little bit more. I don't have to be so walls up because I think we have something in common. And I think the trust builds from there. And I think you can see it every once in a while, even us arguing. That to me is trust, because now we battling back and forth. You're only battling back and forth with people you are getting comfortable with or getting to know and like, want to get closer. So I think the trust is built from that specific point, and then it just goes and continues as she gets more comfortable.
Thank you.
Courtney, I just love everything you have to say. And I'm curious because it looks like it was such a great show to shoot. Talking to the other actors, the writers, directors, what did you learn from them that you will implement in your long-lived career in the Hollywood sphere?
I learned what it was like to make a set feel so inviting. I think I've been really lucky to be on sets that do that, but I was so nervous before that I really couldn't ask questions like I wanted to, or I was on for maybe a day and wouldn't come back for another week or two or something like that. So I didn't really get to dive in like I wanted to. And when I was on this set, not only was Maggie showing me exactly what a number one should be, Maggie allowed me to really like remind myself, whatever problems you got at home, keep it there. When you get here, you are top flight. You are showing up for everybody. You are there for everybody because you want them to be there for you. And that was a pleasure to see. Also, too, like talking to the directors and watching them light up when they were like open to collaboration, and watching them like see how excited they were to create this. Like, oh my goodness, being able to talk to them and like understanding what they want it to look like, and going over the storyboard and seeing all that. Another thing, they taught me that storyboarding doesn't have to be as difficult as I think it is in my head. That was a wonderful thing to see. And I don't know, I also just love reading scripts. I think it just builds a muscle in me to know exactly what a script should look like, exactly, where the climax should come in. If I'm doing a 30 page or 60 page versus, a smaller one. So the lessons were endless. And I was so lucky since I was number 2, just to be on set as often as possible and understanding what set life truly is. and how collaborative it is. So I learned almost too much, but I'll never be mad about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Courtney, thank you again for the time. Thank you for the wonderful experience of watching you, exercise your craft on this terrific new show. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, we thank you for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. Have a great day.